Everyone watching the recording, you get to see behind the scenes 5 seconds before everybody who watches this live. How fun. All right, and we are live. What is up? Welcome back to day 2 of the Client Launchpad Challenge, where we are going to get you crystal clear about who you serve and where you can find them. So by the end of today, you are going to have 30 leads that you didn't have before. And I don't know about you, Kate, but we were reading through day 1's homework and we want you to have that why, but I don't think you all understand how much that feeds into our why. Reading those, like that's why we do what we do. Yeah, it's one of those things where I could tell a lot of you poured a lot of emotion into your quit letter, into your personal pump up letter, into the letter to your spouse's boss to retire them. Those were all beautiful. If you haven't finished your day 1 homework, remember that getting the homework done is mandatory to win the grand prize of a 90-day full scholarship to our VIP Coach Launchpad. So just make sure that you get that done as soon as you can. Today is going to be a little bit shorter training because this one is more about the homework. So Kate and I are going to teach you what to do and how to do it. But then the rest of the time that you may have allotted for the training, we'd like you to finish up yesterday's homework if you haven't, but really focus on getting today's homework done. Cool? Can we all agree to that?
Everyone agrees.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into today's lesson in that case. So as I mentioned, today is all about who you serve and where to find them. I think 2 of the most important questions to ask yourself is, who is it that I serve? Who is it that I'm looking for? If you want to generate leads, you need to know who. Because the thing is, if you're just like, yeah, I'm a nutrition coach, then, all right, everybody kind of looks like a client and you don't know where to focus. You're like a squirrel running all over the place. And of course, you have to ask yourself, where do I find my clients? And we're going to make sure that tonight you know how to generate 30 leads that you didn't already have, or at least you didn't think you already had. So what we're going to be doing is first, we're going to go over essentially the mistakes that we see a lot of you making when niching down. And what we're going to do for any of you who are newer is we're going to help you pick your starter niche. Anybody who already may have picked a niche, we might actually, as crazy as this sounds, we might actually zoom you out a little bit. Because one of the things that we found in the industry is sometimes people are told to niche down too quickly, like to a very, very, very specific niche. And oftentimes that eliminates a huge group of people who you could serve. And you might remember from my story yesterday, I would come home from working at a gym with hundreds of members who knew, liked, and trusted me. And I ignored that because I was trying to find executives, you know, my super tight niche, my rich niche. And so things didn't really work. So we're going to potentially zoom some of you out. So if you niched down and you were struggling, yeah, you might get some relief today. And if you're more experienced, hey, maybe you get more focus today. But we're also going to help you find where to find your clients in the computer, where to find clients online. And also, like I promised, how to create 30 new leads tonight. So Kate and I will both speak to this, but we see a lot of coaches making big mistakes when choosing their niche. I'll start with the first one, Kate. I have talked to so many coaches who they think that they can't get started with their business until they choose a niche. And they spend so much time overthinking who it is that they serve that they never get started, or they push getting started off months and months and months into the future. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, is not just going with something, picking something and getting started. Overthinking is, not going to lead you very far.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And with that too, overthinking the like, well, I don't want to, but I could do this and I could do that. And I have a certification and a training in this. So I don't want to eliminate, you know, half of an audience. I don't want to just focus on women when I could also help men, because that would eliminate 50% of my audience. So the overthinking, I think a lot of times comes from that lack mindset instead of, again, realizing close to 8 billion people in the world, 20 to 40 clients per year, and you have an amazing transformative business.
Mm. Yeah. And speaking of that lack mindset, I mean, that's why I chose executives. And that's why I chose like what I perceived at age like 23, 24 to be a rich niche, one where, like if I'm charging $3,000 for my program, well, I couldn't afford that as a recent college graduate working 5 jobs. So the only person I can imagine would ever pay that is somebody who's at the top of the corporate ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that's not true. I mean, we've got coaches who we've mentored. Sammy Sadacario is a great example. Sammy targeted the starving artist. She helps creatives, and her program is $3,000, and people pay it. She's got a thriving business. She's got an awesome business. She was actually just featured on a podcast I was listening to. I'm so proud of her. And, there are people, of course, who target like executives and senior management consultants. On the other side of the spectrum, we've got like Jane Robertson. She was a senior management consultant. And so for her, she wasn't chasing a rich niche just because her niche was rich. Mm-hmm. It just happens to be who was already in her current network and who she already knew and who already knew, liked, and trusted her. So that's the other thing is, if you pick a niche outside of your current network, you're going to have to lay a lot of groundwork to find them. I wish I had it on these slides, but if you remember from yesterday, like the compound growth curve of online marketing and audience building, you're going to spend a lot of time at that bottom where you're not really feeling like you're getting any traction and you're grinding. And no matter how hard you grind, it just doesn't feel like things are moving. Whereas if you choose people you already know and have access to, it's a lot easier. And that's why we're really focusing on that in this challenge. We want you to get momentum. That way, when you do put the energy into the online marketing, you get through that compound growth curve a lot easier and with a lot more satisfaction.
Yep. And through this momentum, you're also going to find the clients that you really want to serve. So right now you're going to pick, like we're going to teach you your starter niche, and that could evolve. It will evolve because you are constantly evolving as an individual and as a business owner. But the way that we're going to teach you today to find some people and to reach out to, talking to them, which you're going to be doing, it's going to let you know who you actually want to work with and probably who you don't want to work with. And it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think one of the last 2 mistakes here that seem contradictory is sometimes people are too general. Sometimes people are way too specific. Mm-hmm. And I think how general or specific you are kind of depends on how far along you are in your business, first and foremost. But, we've got some funny examples there. It's like, I help men and women lose weight and feel better with healthy habits. Just when I said that, what mental imagery came up? Who in the crowd, who listening to this was like, that's me?
No one.
Yeah. And so then we've got the other end of the spectrum is too specific. It's like, I help men ages 30 to 30 and a half with 11 fingers from Montana whose favorite food is dill pickles lose 11 pounds in 11 days. Even if you're from Montana, you probably don't know where that person is. And the thing sometimes with being too specific is you do eliminate people you could very well help. You do really make it to the point where some people are going to be like, oh, well, I don't really fit that. So we want to get that Goldilocks just right niche. Mm-hmm. So we call this the perfect starter niche. And the perfect starter niche is people like you and or people who like you. It's really simple, really simple. It's hard to overthink this one. But even though it's hard to overthink this one, we're going to give you some reflection questions to figure out who your starter niche is. Now, if you remember, I had way too specific of a niche. Mine was actually this. I think it was executives 40 plus who are lacking energy and want to bring more play into their lives or something like that. It was like really specific. I didn't know a single person who that fit. I just guessed. But then eventually I realized I work at a CrossFit gym. I train at a CrossFit gym. I'm a competitive athlete in CrossFit, and I have friends at other gyms. I had a gym on the East Coast that I would visit when I was back home visiting my family, and my dad was like the mayor there. And I had the gym that I worked at. And then whenever I traveled, I dropped into CrossFit gyms. I knew a lot of people in the CrossFit community. And so when I started focusing there, on the money. I also focused just on the people I knew locally and my local network and my personal network. That's it. Pure and simple. And the thing that you can grab from this is that you don't need to just pick one. I didn't just pick people who do CrossFit. I also worked with people who didn't do CrossFit that were in my personal network and local, and I thought I could help them. And it gave me some context for the types of people that I could help, that I liked helping. And it allowed me to, when I did eventually settle on just wanting to work with people in the CrossFit niche, I came to that having more personal power and more assurance. Like, this is right. This feels right. I've worked with other people who don't do this, and I'm not connecting on the same level with them that I am with the people who do CrossFit. And Kate also had a starter niche. So Kate, I'll let you talk about yours.
I did, yeah. So they were my current clients. Most of them were from my Beachbody network marketing business. So these are people, you guys, sometimes feeling like an imposter can be a really good thing when you lean in and let it like just propel you forward into learning more and doing more and serving more. And so I was like, I think a Beachbody coach like on steroids. Like, I was running these amazing challenges, like really pumping people up. And a lot of people got a lot from me as their coach. So I had built up that know, like, and trust factor with them already. So when I went to them and said, hey, I'm going off the grid here with my own thing, and it goes against everything I've said to you so far, but I've studied, I've gotten certified, and I believe this is the way to go. They were like, okay, whatever you say, we'll follow you. And they did. And that was amazing. And then it was also for me, moms interested in keto. And a bunch of years ago, before keto like blew up, I was first to market, or one of the first to market. So I hit the market at a great time. And of course, like, moms will always be a sweet spot for me because I can have conversations with moms. Their kids are crying, my kids are crying, and we're just happy to be together connecting, and we're able to like tune it out. Just both able to tune it out because it happens all the time. So we have that connection. We can talk a lot about mom life, and it's like a friendship. It's like, and that's the great thing, right? We always want you to connect with people, again, who like you and then who are like you because you have that similar interest. So your check-in calls, while you are the leader as their coach, they're friend calls. And who doesn't need more connection right now? Who couldn't use more friends? That's what I've loved the most about building my businesses. And that's what I love the most about what I get to do now, because all of our VIP coaches are like my best friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're really good at that, Kate. Just becoming best friends with people. We could all take a page out of your book. So this isn't the homework per se, but this is now contemplation rather than work. We want you to start thinking about who is your starter niche, and don't filter this. You know, this is like a brainstorm. When you brainstorm, you brain dump. You just get any idea that comes into your head onto paper, and you can filter it later. We're going no filter here, okay? So I want you to take out a piece of paper, open up a note on your phone, whatever it happens to be. And I want you to quickly think about, okay, who do you know? Who are like the categories or groups of people that you know? For some of you who work in healthcare, you might be like, okay, I know nurses, doctors, EMTs, ambulance drivers, or AMBOs as we call them here in Australia. You know, I know, and that might be the people you know professionally. And then you might be like, okay, I'm really into LARPing and Lord of the Rings and video games and all these things. So I know a lot of people in those communities as well. So it's like, okay, who do you know? Who are the categories of people who you know? And this might cross over very heavily. But get those down, write those down. If you want to, drop them in the comments. I'd love to see. When you put that in there, it's going to tell me a little bit more about you. So I'd love to see that, because I do go through the comments at the end of the stream and respond and see who's showing up and who's doing the work. And like I said, there might be overlap, but once you figure out and you get down a quick list, just brain dump it of who do you know. Also, I'd like you to write down, who are you? What are the things you like to do? Where do you go frequently? Think about where you spend the most time. And just to fill the space so we're not dead quiet, Kate, like, who are you if you were doing this exercise?
Yeah, so my who do I know, I would group them into people like my best friends from Philly, my sorority sisters, who are also still my best friends. But my sorority sisters, I would group them into people that I worked with at the Chamber of Commerce, people that I networked with at the Chamber of Commerce, people who were my clients there, people who were from my gyms. And I would probably group them separately from my gyms as well. And then who am I? Well, I am a busy mom, multi-passionate, and I love spin class. I love lifting weights. If I didn't make it in life, I would be a spin class DJ. I love live music, and I love to travel. So for me to connect with other moms who love to travel with their families would be amazing. And then plan like a mom's trip like with them would be amazing. And during that time, as I make, also their best friend, they're going to be asking me about fitness advice and things like that. And while we go on vacation, enjoying our adult beverages, we'll also be enjoying healthy things. That's really who I can relate to and who I know for sure I can help, because I get them. I know what their struggles are. And I can have a very natural, free-flowing conversation with them. Conversation is so key. You hear Matt say this all the time, and I love it. You can't have more clients than you're having conversations. And who do you want to talk to? People that you like. You've been in those conversations sometimes where it is like pulling teeth to get the other person to communicate. And like, that doesn't feel great, right? But when you've got these things in common with people, conversation is so easy. And it's just so simple to go back and forth. And then they're seeing, they're like interested more in what you're posting and what you're doing. And because they like you already, they trust you. So they would be willing to ask you for advice, receive advice, and pay you handsomely for your advice.
Yeah. And notice what Kate did there too. She combined like who she knew, who she is, who she can relate to, and who she can help into like, okay, this is kind of a starter niche. It's like moms who like travel and want to enjoy an adult beverage, but also want to be healthy, and brought it together. So for you, there's probably going to be a lot of crossover. I want you to answer each of these questions individually. And then from there, see where the crossover is. Are there certain groups of people who hit each category? And if there is, then you can have maybe 3 different little starter niches that we can use for today. And Kate, are you seeing some things coming through in the comments?
I'm seeing some really cool things coming through.
Awesome.
Like really cool things. Yeah. John said hoteliers, CrossFit swimmers, university friends, gym clients, Todd, fellow IT workers, musicians, hockey moms and dads. Cassie, gardening, crafting, reading. I mean, there's super, super good ones in here. Cindy, family, church ladies. I love that. Fitness instructor. Yeah, there's so many coming through.
Yeah. And so hopefully this is showing you how many different communities and groups of people that you have access to and who you can serve. And very importantly, who you can relate to and who can relate to you. Because that's going to make the client enrollment process, as well as the experience of coaching them, a lot more fulfilling. So if you haven't finished this up, we are going to move on, but you can definitely do this before you dive into your homework, wrap this up. But ultimately, like, don't worry. You don't have to just pick one right now, and you're not married to, if you do just pick one right now, you're not married to it. You can get more specific later. You can change it. We've had so many coaches who change niche. That's okay. I've changed niche a number of times. I mean, Kate and I used to, it's like we used to be going after the nutrition coaching clients, And now we are helping nutrition coaches. So we've obviously both changed niche in our life. All right. So that's who you serve. And like I said, we're also going to help you understand where to find your clients in the computer. I don't know if you guys have seen Zoolander, but when they're like, oh, the files are in the computer, like this, how Hansel and Zoolander felt in this moment, this is how I felt. Like I said in that story I told yesterday, when I was sitting at my kitchen table with like dinner burning on the stove, typing into Google where to find clients online, like this is how I felt. I was just like, oh, I see so many people who are like, it's easy to find clients online. Just get a funnel, this, that, the other. Why can't I? Like, I'm smart. I know I'm smart. And it was just so frustrating. And we want to relieve that frustration for you. So what we're going to be doing is providing you with a very simple process. So step one, and that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to create your hot list. This is something we do with our paying clients too. So, this is something that's really effective. You're going to create your hot list of people. From there, we're going to teach you how to contact your hot list of people. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a free offer to the hot list in exchange for a testimonial, one of those aha moment testimonials. And then from there, we're going to invite those people to a free call, invite the people from a free call to a sales conversation, if and only if it's the right fit. Because some of you are going to get a lot of calls booked in. And we've had people who booked in 35 plus calls from this process. Not every single one of those people is going to be a right fit for you as a client. And it's really important to recognize, like, if your gut's telling you this person probably isn't a good fit, to just not offer them to become a client. Because there's plenty of leads out there, as we've alluded to. So this is the overall process that we're going to end up teaching you. We're going to give you the scripts, the step-by-step, exactly how to do it. Today, we're really focusing in on step one. So we've given you this document. It is in the, oopsies, I linked the wrong one. I will link the right one. Let's see if I can pull it up. There we go. So we will have this in your Google Drive resources folder. Anybody who didn't see it, I posted it in the day one homework post yesterday. I'll post it again in the day two homework. But essentially, you're going to go through all of your phone contacts, your Facebook group lists, your Facebook friend lists, anybody who you can just think of off the top of your head who fits those starter niches, who you know. Again, we're brain dumping. We're not filtering this. You're just coming in and you are putting in their name. And this is a little bit different than the one that you have, because this is one of the ones we use for our clients. But you are going to put them onto your hot list. And the goal is to get 30 people tonight on that hot list. I'd like to know, how does that feel? Does that feel like a stretch? Does that feel like it's going to be easy? And you want to say, hey, Matt, 30 is easy. I'm going to do 60, because we did have somebody do that last time, and they did get 60 overnight. So how are you feeling about this homework and this process? So again, we're going to give you the hot list spreadsheet to keep track of them. You're going to go through all of your lists. Phone contacts is a great one. Going into Facebook groups, I'll show you guys this in Online Nutrition Coach Community. You can go into members on any community that you're a part of, and you can see who your friends are in a group. And by the way, why aren't more of us friends? There's like 5,500 people in the Online Nutrition Coach community. I'm only friends with 1,500 of you. What's going on? But the other cool thing is you can see members with things in common. So these might be people who are a little bit more cold, but yeah, see who your friends are in those groups. Might have been something that you did to refer people into this challenge. Now you're just doing it for people who are in your starter niche. That's why we get you to refer people into the challenge, by the way, because it gets you starting to think about, okay, who is it that I'm targeting? Other coaches. Where do I find them? You've already laid the groundwork. All right. So you might scroll through any of your other audiences. Do you have an audience on Instagram? Do you have an audience on YouTube? Do you have an email list? Where are your other audiences? Scroll through those audiences, get those names onto the hot list. And then this is completely optional because, like I said, you do not need social media. You do not need a social media presence to complete this challenge and to get clients from this challenge. However, why wouldn't we use a tool if it's available and it makes the job easier? So step 5 would be to create an offer teaser post. So you might set a less aggressive goal here, but an example here would be, I set a goal of 100 health coaching sessions completed by June 1st. Anyone want a complimentary session? So this is going to get people within your audience who are interested to raise their hand. So you might change this. You might be like, I've set a goal of 10 or 5 or whatever it happens to be. But you're going to get people raising their hand. And you can get those people on your hot list as well. And we will teach you tomorrow how to go about getting those calls booked in and what that conversation should look like. But today it is all about getting that hot list done. 30 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And coaches, I know some of you are talking about it's scary, this feels intimidating, this feels like a stretch. What if I don't know that many people? You know 30 people. You know 30 people. What's in your head right now is, I don't know if these 30 people would, I don't know if this person would get on the phone with me. I don't know if that person would do a free coaching call with me. I don't know if they would give me a testimony. I don't know if they would ever become a client. You don't have to know that. You literally just have to put names down on a spreadsheet. Okay. And take a minute and just rewire your mind and remember that the world needs you. And even though this person on your list may not be the person that directly hires you, again, you simply putting them on your list, it just opens things up energetically. And other people may flow into your life and other people that they may want to recommend to you that you talk to. Get your mind right. This is important. What you do is important. You matter to a lot of people in the world. Okay. You are a life changer, a transformation specialist. So right now, tonight, you are just going to sit down and you're going to get 30 names out of your brain and onto an Excel sheet. And then we're going to move forward.
Exactly. And Kate, you actually just made me think about something really important. Now, Kate knows this about me. Some of you might know this about me, but I consider myself to be a professional investor. And I love Robert Kiyosaki. And good old Uncle Bob, Robert Kiyosaki, he has this great quote. And the quote is, professional investors invest to get better at investing. Average investors invest to make money. Now, you might be thinking, Matt, what the heck does that have to do with this? And we can change one word. Professional coaches coach to get better at coaching. Professional business people do lead gen to get better at lead gen. But then the average coach coaches just to whatever, see clients, make money. The average coach does lead generation to get clients. But if it's about just getting better at getting clients, they're probably not going to do it. So do you want to be a professional coach or do you want to be an average coach? Because the professional coach would do this, would put that name on that list, would contact that person based off how we're going to tell you, regardless of whether you think they're going to become a client. But because it's going to make you better at lead generation, because it's going to make you better at coaching, because it's going to make you more confident overall. That's the nature of going pro, of becoming a professional at this. And becoming a professional at this is how you're going to start putting those puzzle pieces together and becoming the type of coach who can earn a full-time income working part-time hours. So I know a lot of you are probably feeling some fear and feeling stretched. I would too, especially if I put myself back in the shoes of where I was at the beginning of my journey. And hey, even now it can be uncomfortable to think about these things. But got to take those steps.
Yeah.
Otherwise you stay where you are.
My favorite acronym for fear that I read a few years ago, and it ended up being my word for the year that year, was face everything and rise. And rise was
Mm,
the word, was my word of the year for that year. And it felt so good and so empowering and so aligned. Face everything and rise.
that's awesome. I've never heard that one before.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought you were going to throw down the Zig Ziglar quote, but that one's even better. I'm not even going to throw down the Zig Ziglar one because I like yours, especially in this context, a lot better, Kate. Um, cool. Well, Kate already threw down what the day 2 homework is. Again, just a reminder, you've got to do your homework to stay eligible for the grand prize, the 90-day full scholarship to the VIP Coach Launchpad. Again, just to remind you, the reason that it is so important to us that you do this homework is if we are going to give you a free ride in our mentorship program, we want to make sure you're going to take action. Because if you're the type of person who's like, oh, it's free, so I'm just going to cherry pick the advice. Well, somebody who's hungry and is ready to go pro, that's gone through all this and did all their homework too, they missed out on the opportunity. So we want somebody who's going to come in, take action, and take advantage of the opportunity and change their life. And the way that you're going to prove that to us is by getting your homework done. And yesterday's homework was about finding your why, getting you motivated to actually take action. Today's homework is the first action step towards getting those clients that you want, those clients that you signed up for this challenge to get. So I will post the Google Drive resource link in the homework. Pay attention. This is very important. I saw some people didn't follow these instructions. Very important instructions. You have to post your homework on the post in the online nutrition coach community as a comment. The post says day 2 homework, day 1 homework. You have to comment below that because after day 4 wraps up, our admin team is going to be going through just those posts and looking just at who commented. And that's how we're going to know that you followed instructions and that you took action. So if you just post on the wall in the group instead of as a comment, our admin team's not going to see that and you are not going to be eligible. So please post this in the correct spot. So your homework or your action step is to create those 30 leads in your hot list, but your homework is simple. Just go to that post. It should be live already. I'll mark it as an announcement as soon as we wrap up here so that it's pinned to the top. Just post who your starter niche is. If you already put it in the comments of this video, you still have to put it there because that is where the admin team is going to be able to see it when we're evaluating who is still eligible for the grand prize. Cool. I just want to make sure everybody has the best opportunity at winning, has a fair opportunity at winning, and there's no confusion or logistical considerations that put you out of the running. Sweet. All right. Well, that's it for the learning today. Now, tomorrow, we're going to give you the exact scripts to contact your hot list and book those calls. A lot of people told us after day 3, they were like, oh, I almost didn't show up. This was intimidating. I didn't think that this was for me. But then when I saw the script and the way that you recommend contacting the hot list, it felt so natural, it felt so aligned, and it felt so doable. So all you have to do is show up tomorrow and we'll show you exactly how to do this in a way that doesn't feel spammy, and is going to ruin your relationships, but in a way that is actually aligned. Because if some of you don't know us, we're all about trust-based marketing. We don't want you to break someone's trust before you've had the opportunity to enroll them. We don't want you to break someone's trust at any point in the journey. We don't want you to bait and switch people and break their trust at the beginning and hope that you can, enroll them somehow with some crazy sales tactic. We want you to build up so much trust that the enrollment conversation is easy. Mm-hmm. And we promise you, day 3, tomorrow, when you show up, we'll show you how to do that with everybody that you put on your hot list. Cool? Cool. All right. Well, we want to give you as much time as possible to take action today. So we'll wrap up with that. Kate, is there anything you wanted to throw in before we end the stream?
Yeah, just don't overthink it. As soon as we end the stream, just sit down and get to work. You're going to be so surprised at how many people you actually know and how many names you just add to a list like super fast. So that's all you got to do. That's all we want you to do. No, rise up, coach. Rise up. Because look, if you don't contact them, somebody else will. Somebody else will. And then they may not get the transformation that they're looking for because you weren't their coach. Why would you rob them of that? Why? Rise up.
Amen. Awesome. Get that work done, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.